Our guest on the program today is Mr. Ogbugo Ukoha, Executive Director, Distribution Systems, Storage and Retailing Infrastructure of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA. What's their mandate? What's causing the recurring fuel crisis in the country? What is this bridging cost being owed? And how do we put an end to this problem? Mr. Ukoha, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much, Kayla, for having me over.
So let's talk a bit about the situation that we have going on in the country right now. A lot of people are upset. It does look like it's letting up a little bit. But just so we can delve deep into the matter, your job or the job of the NMDPRA is something a lot of people are trying to understand right now. You're supposed to oversight the situation, what's really going on, and just so people can understand what the job is. What does the NMDPRA do as regards this sector?
Okay, thank you, Kayla, once again. The PIA mandates the authority, the NMDPRA, to regulate the midstream and the downstream sectors of the petroleum industry. In contradistinction with to upstream sector, the upstream produces crude. Once it comes out and the initial separations are done, the evacuation of that crude, that's the beginning of the midstream, which will also include the processing, whether you're refining it or not. So from that evacuation, the authority regulates that. And it moves on after you've refined or processed the crude and the gas, and you have derived products like PMS, AGO, and DPK, and CNG, all kinds of LNG. Then the storage for retailing of that, and the retailing indeed, those are downstream things. Okay.
You've painted a picture there. I can think of a million things that can go wrong.
Thank you.
In any of these scenarios. And each of those things, like you stated earlier, would ultimately impact supply. In this particular scenario that we're facing right now, what's behind it?
The supplies, as we said, with the imports were placed. But if you have an inland stock and the vessels don't arrive quite on time, you begin to deplete what you have on land. And these things are stored in the depots owned by private operators as well. So they will see the volumes going down. The tendency may be then to begin to hoard here and there. And so when our field officers go out, they will find that, for instance, a retail outlet might have 40,000 liters on the ground, but is dispensing from one pump. We'll then compel them to open up all their pumps and to begin to...
Is that what happened in this case?
So this is one of the contemporary issues we've had to deal with recently. Yeah. But the great thing is that NMPC's stock, they've all arrived now. And if you add what is in the marine, we're in excess of 30 days as at yesterday.
Okay.
So the point to note is that we're focused on flipping the marine stock quickly into inland at the different corridors and then trucking it out, which is why we're optimistic that in a few days, these queues will thin out.
So let's talk a little bit about how to make things get better in the future. How do we, because you see, there's always an explanation. With every fuel scarcity that we face in Nigeria, there's always an explanation. I saw a video recently online that showed fuel scarcity 30 years ago. Same explanations or one thing, or there's always something that happened. How do we ensure that these things stop? In your view, as the regulators, what would be an ultimate solution to this problem?
Okay. I think the outlook is a very positive one, and I'm happy to share that with viewers. As you know, the Dangote Refinery, that's with the installed capacity of refining 650,000 barrels of crude per day, is almost on stream. They are at pre-commissioning stage, where we're testing each priority stage of the refining process. At the point where they are currently producing 80K intermediate products, including AGO. And so when the full commissioning of Dangote comes, forget about what many people say about that. It's a game changer for not just Nigeria, for the sub-region. Previously, you would have AGO, nozzles for AGO, DPK, that's kerosene, and PMS. Currently, most places is only PMS you're buying. We're going to give you the options. So you have LPG in the station, you will have PMS, you will have your CNG. That's what we're focused with, and we're working towards that.
I mean, I heard you talk about some of the people that the stakeholders in this.
Yes.
One of them is independent marketers.
Yes.
And recently they were talking about something called the bridging cost that they're still being owed. And they're actually asking your office to ensure that, in fact, they were threatening Nigerians. They said we're going to shut down businesses unless they get their monies back. Could you explain what this means? What's this bridging cost about?
The Petroleum Equalization Fund was simply established to equalize the transportation costs for moving PMS, so that what you buy in Lagos State, where the vessel discharges, is the same thing, the same pump price in Sokoto or Maiduguri, which is the furthest point. Okay? And we inherited this. However, with the withdrawal of the subsidy, there is no longer equalization. So the equalization is being sunsetted from May 29th. But there are areas to deal with. And as we're closing out that account, any marketer will say to you that since the coming of the authority, the bulkiest sum of funds have been disbursed to marketers under the equalization. Currently, about last week, we started disbursing 10 billion to marketers. It's simple how it works. So we take from those that, the major ones, we take the equalization funds from them and we pay to transporters and the smaller retail the outlets, depending on the distance from where they are, the transportation distance. So ours is to take and disburse. So if we don't get, then there will be a challenge of disbursement. So there are a number of companies that are owing the fund and for which we have been reconciling with. So you have to sit down, you say you're owing X amount. They say, no, bring your papers, we'll reconcile. Okay, then make this payment when you sign off. So once we receive, we're able to pay. So that's where we are currently. And hopefully, once we close out the fund, we liquidate those that the credits we have and the debits, the fund will be closed in accordance with the PIA. So that's the point where we are.
It's a lot of work. When I think about just mentioning all the areas that you have to deal with and all the organizations that you have to deal with, it gives me the feeling that from time to time, we will still have to deal with fuel scarcities, because this value chain, anything can happen in this. There can be a chink at any point. And once there's a chink, things would slow down. Is that the sense that Nigerians should have?
No, we don't. Nobody prays for scarcity. Indeed, given that Nigeria, the reserves that we have, 290 CF of gas, we shouldn't have, Nigerians should not queue. And it's regrettable that anybody should queue more than 5-10 minutes to buy fuel.
That's all the time that we have right now. But I want to thank you very much for being with us on Dateline Abuja. Good luck with all the work you have ahead of you.
Thank you very much, Kayla, for having me.